welcome to ZomTalk, and I'm here with Tiffany, who wrote an awesome book. And let me tell you this, that Tiffany is an artist, and she's really creative, and she's always writing me. So one day she came to visit, and she left this with a little note to read it, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really perfect to like put on ZomTalk. I mean, after all, that's what we do, right? Zombies and all things related to zombies. So here, let me show you what she drew. That's her book, I, Zombie. So how old are you anyway?
12.
You're 12? And so what made you write a book about zombies?
When The Walking Dead ended, I kind of need something to fill in the place where The Walking Dead was when it ended, so I decided to write a book.
So you're a fan of The Walking Dead?
Uh-huh.
Who's your favorite character?
I like Carl.
Oh, everybody likes Carl, right? I think that Daryl's jealous. He just fell off. Look at him. He's like, no, not Carl. Don't like Carl. Okay, so we have I, Zombie by Tiffany, 12 years old. And I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to read some of it, and then we can talk about it a little bit, right?
It is ZomTalk.
It is ZomTalk. That's right. Okay. You guys ready for this? It's a pretty good story. One stormy night, my mom Tabitha was tucking me and my little brother Robbie in bed. She kissed our foreheads, and then out of nowhere, a strange thump hit the door. It sounded like a head banging on a piece of wood. The banging didn't stop. My mom walked out of the room, and I peeked my head out the door. I watched my dad in his blue velvet robe with the name John written in gold near the top. He peeked out the window and opened the door. Quickly, a man moaning walked in and bit my dad right in the neck. My mom yelled so loud, my brother hopped out of bed when hearing my dad yell. I shut the door in ice-cold shock. My brother started crying. I crawled over and blocked his ears so he would stop crying, because even though I wanted to cry too, I knew after watching 182 episodes of Zombie Hunter that crying caused zombies too. I froze. Then it all came to me. That was a zombie that bit my dad and Ma. Oh my gosh, that means, huh? I stood up, grabbed Robbie's hand, ran into my open closet and shut it, and covered my brother with a blue jacket. I told him to go to sleep. When he finally fell asleep, I closed my eyes and slowly fell into a deep, deep sleep. That's good.
Thank you.
So
when they went to sleep in the closet, they woke up, and when they walked out, there was glass all over the floor still. And their dad was still there, but Clara didn't see her mom. She left her little brother in the closet sleeping. Clara left her brother in the closet because it's the apocalypse, and what 5-year-old wouldn't be terrified of big monsters that are scary? And when she walked out, she didn't see her mom, but at the corner of her eye, she saw somebody across the street wearing something similar to what her mom was wearing. So she walked out down the street, and she found her mom, and when she tapped her on the shoulder, she turned around, it was a zombie. She just ran. She had no weapons with her because she's helpless, so she ran back to the house. And then, while Claire was out there, a zombie entered the house and bit Robbie. She couldn't kill Robbie because of his age, obviously. And it was her brother.
So she wasn't able to do that.
She wasn't able to.
What happened to her dad?
Got bit, so
Did he turn?
Actually, she did have to stab her dad, though, because she knew what was going to happen to him if she just left him there.
So he didn't turn into a zombie?
He didn't get the chance to, which is good.
So here's Claire. She's a preteen, and her father got bit, and her mother got bit, and then she comes back, and her brother got bit. So she's lost everybody. So what does Claire do?
Well, she packed her things, normal supplies, a handgun, band-aids, medicine, food.
Pretty smart preteen, huh?
She's pretty much been planning it, kind of. Like, she knew what was going on, so after she got her stuff, she went from house to house to house until she got to Mr. Peters' house. He's a nice old man with a cane. And she thought he was a zombie, so she hid in his cabinet, but he found her and wasn't a zombie.
Well,
Mr. Peters and Clara, they took Clara's mom's car and started driving for sanctuary somewhere else because obviously their community was filled with zombies. While they were driving, they saw something in the road, and when they stopped, two girls were sleeping in the middle of the road. Annie and Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like, why were they in the road and not in the grass or anything?
Well, in the story, they actually argue about it. They were sleeping in the road because in the apocalypse, you don't expect traffic to hit the roads. So also because they were next to woods, and if something crawled out of the woods and they were in the grass, they wouldn't really have a chance.
Okay, so they were out in the open road so that they could see things all around them.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty smart, right?
Taylor's the smart one. Annie's more of the little girl who doesn't understand what's going on.
Let's read a little bit more, shall we? We finally reached the barn and walked in. Crack! I jumped at the sound. Taylor pulled a gun and Annie hid behind me. Crack! There it is again, I said. A shadow approached us. Boom! You got a lot of sound effects. Boom! Taylor fired one round. Ouch! Yelled a male voice. You shot! You shot! Oh my God! I'm so sorry! Shrieked Annie. Taylor didn't shoot a zombie, but a human, but a African-American boy with weird glasses. I ran over. It's fine. The shot only scraped you, I said. Thanks. I'm Noah, he said. I'm Clara Roberts, and these are my friends Taylor, Annie, and Mr. Peters, and we're so sorry. We thought you were a zombie, I said. A zombie? Huh. I call them walkers. Cool, I said. Well, Taylor, I guess you're not a very good shooter, huh? I ran to the car and grabbed the first aid kit my mom put in the car last summer. I bandaged him up. Thanks, Clara. But how did you do that? He asked. My dad's a doctor, or was a doctor. I'm sorry, said Noah. Here, I'll show you around. And Noah stood up. I walked out of the barn, and Noah gave us the grand tour of his family barn. In all, he showed us the garden, the kennel, which was actually a porta potty that when you moved the toilet, a hole in the ground showed. I bring the walkers here, kill them, and push them down the hole. But also, it's the toilet, said Noah. That's really good. I like that. How appropriate. You throw the walkers in the toilet. You just better make sure you kill them first. Otherwise, they might bite your butt. And last, he explained that the barn stalls are where we can sleep. The stalls had blankets and pillows on the ground and a mini table for a nightstand. He used towels as curtains. Oh, and here we have a picture. I can imagine it. I can see that in my mind. Like, you've got survivors, and they're running, and now they've got an old man with a cane, and she's got two friends, and they run into Noah, who's got a family farm, and obviously, you know, he's wanting to have people's company, he's wanting to be around people, so he's inviting them in. Noah in The Walking Dead. Did that inspire you?
Yeah, I didn't want to name him Noah because I didn't want to seem like I was copying, but I just really liked that name for the character that I made him.
And you must have liked Noah on The Walking Dead because
I really did.
Yeah, because it inspired you to include him in your zombie story.
What I kind of did was Beth is kind of like Clara, even though Clara looks a lot like Sophia. I kind of did the characters like people from The Walking Dead.
So what happens to Taylor, Annie, and Mr. Peters?
While they're on the farm?
Yeah.
Well, they live there for a long time, pretty much. That's like their home, their sanctuary now. They do work every day, like they go out and they harvest the crops. They pretty much just live a normal life as if the apocalypse didn't even happen.
So Tiff, does Claire have like any friendships with these people? Do they all get along?
Well, her and Annie, they're really tight. They're like best friends. Taylor doesn't really like Clara at all. They don't like each other.
So they fight?
They kind of do. Taylor's kind of sassy, and she doesn't like where they're at. Clara and Noah, they kind of grow to like each other.
So are they dating?
Not yet, but they start hanging out a lot as if they're best friends, like really tight friends.
And
after a long time, because they've been there like for 4 years.
And does he love her?
He does, but Clara doesn't know that.
So this is kind of like a romance story too.
Yeah.
Well, there's a group now. Noah's all by himself, but then this group, with headed by Mr. Peters with a cane.
He drives like this. He uses the cane to push the pedal.
Does he? I think that's so imaginative.
He's short. So
only in the zombie apocalypse created by Tiffany does a senior citizen who drives by using a cane, you will survive. She's going to make sure you survive. All right. I like this story. This is an awesome story. We've got Taylor, who does not like Claire, and her and Annie were out by themselves, right? And then here comes Clara, who kind of like takes over the friendship with Annie, right?
Yeah. So Taylor's kind of jealous because Annie's her little, like, almost her little sister. Not really, but that's what she treats her like. They were tight, but then Clara came along.
Meet Noah, and then Taylor again is kind of jealous because Clara and Noah are really tight.
She's clueless.
Oh, she's okay. So she's kind of ditzy.
Yeah.
She's like wandering around the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
She walks around the zombie apocalypse with a smile.
I want to read this part right here. Me, Taylor, Annie, and Mr. Peters have been living on the farm with Noah for 4 years. 4 great years. Taylor got nicer and Annie stayed the same, and me and Noah have gotten closer. Yesterday, me and Noah climbed up the barn roof and watched the sunrise. It was so romantic. I mean, he's really a nice guy, and my mom would be proud. Grrr. Jesus, does Annie snore loud? She keeps me up all night, so I just get up early. I crawled out of the barn hole area. Oh, please, Tim, tell me it's not the barn hole with the walkers. You don't want to crawl out of the toilet. Okay, she's not crawling out of the toilet, guys.
No, she's crawling out of that little area with the pillows.
Okay, good. All right, and quickly realized that the snoring wasn't Annie, but a walker. I didn't have enough time to move when, ow, it bit me right on my side. Mr. Peters walked in and killed the walker, and he leaned over and said, "You okay, kiddo?" "No, Mr. Peters, I've been bit right on the side, so you can't cut it off." Mr. Peters bravely helped me up and put his arm around me, knowing at any second I could turn and bite him too. He brought me to the garden where Noah, Taylor, and Annie were. Slowly lifted my head up. "No!" yelled Annie as she fell to her knees crying. "Oh no, Buckwheat!" That's Claire, by the way.
That's Claire's nickname.
That's Claire's nickname, right.
By Taylor.
But see, we're not reading the whole story, so you wouldn't know that. But Claire is Buckwheat. I fell to my knees. Taylor shoved aside Mr. Peters. "Clara, don't leave me now," whispered Noah. I'm glad he doesn't call her Buckwheat. Softly kissed my lips. Wow, Jesus, my luck. My first kiss in the zombie apocalypse when I'm dying. Taylor pulled me up and walked me to the kennel with gun in hand. They waved to me as Taylor and I made our way to the kennel. "Listen, Clara, I'm sorry this happened to you," said Taylor. She handed me the gun and locked me in the porta potty. I love this book. You guys, this is a great story. I lifted the gun to my head. Goodbye, world. Boom. I woke up to the warm sunshine on my face. I stood. Oh no, I must have missed. I picked up the gun, but then it occurred to me that I was born with a third kidney, which is the 8th episode of The Zombie Hunter that states you don't turn zombified if you have a third kidney. So everybody run out to your doctor and have them check for the third kidney. I banged on the door, and soon I saw a black 9mm handgun in my face. "Don't shoot!" I yelled. I held both my hands out, breathing very hard. Annie pushed in at the same time. Me and Annie both said, third kidney. So Annie knew about it too, right?
Annie has a third kidney.
Right, so that means that most of those survivors that actually did survive have a third kidney. So tell us about this third kidney idea. How did you come up with that?
Well, I want her to live, like become a zombie human. If you look on the front, it's an eye that says zombie and human.
Right.
I wanted her to have some kind of extra body part or a missing body part that makes her not die.
I love the story.
I love it too.
So what happens after that?
After Annie and Clara hugged and they heard this noise and they looked around and they saw like thousands of walkers breaking down the fence that was around the barn.
Get out of the situation?
Well, they all run on top of a food truck left by the previous owner of the barn, which was Noah's family who owned a food truck company for dog food. They jumped on top of it and they were just watching. There was a whole bunch in the barn and a whole bunch around the truck. And they started shooting at them, but they ran out of bullets. Mr. Peters had this idea. So he jumped off the truck, ran to the barn, and got some TNT. And he lit it up and blew the barn up with all of the zombies.
Oh, wow. So they lost their house.
But the sad thing is Mr. Peters died too.
Oh, what happened to Mr. Peters?
He took the TNT and lit it while he was still in there so he could make sure, because the zombies would follow him to the barn.
So he sacrificed himself.
For all of them. He really liked all of them.
So
Taylor said that she knew somewhere they could stay, her brother's old house. So Taylor, being the oldest, drove them there. So they met Nicholas, which is Taylor's older brother, and he was excited to see his sister, but he didn't really like having company.
right, so he only wanted his sister to come.
Yeah. So they made a deal that he would fly them somewhere, a sanctuary, but while they were flying the plane, the engine blew up because it was a really old rusty plane in the backyard.
You know what? And again, let me rethink this. Maybe you won't survive Tiffany's apocalypse.
Yeah, plane crashed, and it's pretty much what happens.
So now we should be
Chapter 7,
right.
which picks up where they fell out of the plane.
Falling is not my talent, and at least if I plummet to my death, I wouldn't have lived the rest of my life in the ocean or zombie apocalypse. Bang! I first hit the ground. Ouch! Then the big parachute fell on top of me. I somehow climbed out and stood up. I threw off the helmet and goggles and started calling out for my friends, one by one. Annie! No answer. Noah! No answer. Taylor! No answer. Nicholas! No answer. And then finally I gave up. I started walking around, tearing up a little, and then a lot. And soon I was on a rock, bawling my eyes out. Claire! Yelled a voice. I looked up. Noah! You're okay. I got up and ran towards him. Bang! I fell right through him. What? I thought. I was startled by two big arms wrapping around me. Soon someone put a napkin of something over my face. And it all went.
But what happened is where they're taking her is very high class, educated, and it was a hologram. They were trying to distract her.
Oh.
So I guess when she hit the ground, two arms wrapped around her like this, kind of, and pulled her up. So she couldn't move. Her feet were
And they had something on there, right, to make her sleep?
And so they put it over her face like this, and she passed out.
Let's continue. I opened my eyes. I was strapped onto a table in a laboratory. I moved around, or tried to move around, but I couldn't. A man with dark hair, glasses, and a multi-stained lab coat walked in. Hello, Clara Roberts, the man said, pointing to the right. I turned my head and say, Nick, Taylor, Noah, and Annie. They were all strapped to tables, like I was. They were all squirming with tape over their mouths. Guys, I screamed. But then this man put tape over my mouth. How rude. He spoke in a calming, soft voice. Clara, my dear, don't worry, and your friend won't feel a thing. Now listen, I'm Dr. Gabriel. Me and my friends, lab partners, found a cure for the apocalypse. All we need is water, green tea, leaves, bark, beetles, and blood. Blood. from 5 pure hearts. Then you, 5, come walking in. It's like an evil doctor, isn't it? So you know what I like? Let me tell you what I like. That even though you have to kill the zombies, put them in the porta potty, right? And like everything is like gone to hell. You still gotta have manners. She's like thinking that this doctor is rude, right?
It's like, how rude of you.
Right. I tried to tell him, don't take them. Take all my blood. Don't hurt them. A team of people walked in, holding one large, pointy, scary needle. They walked past me all the way to Nick. Then they lifted his arm. Boy, he put up a fight until his arms dropped, his head tilted towards Taylor. Ooh, Taylor mumbled, offering out her arm. I guess she wanted to give up. I teared at the sight of Taylor slowly dying. Oh, then they walked towards Noah. I managed to get the tape off. I love you, and I always will, I yelled to him. He mumbled. I took it as a I love you too, and not that I hate you and I'm going to die. I closed my eyes and cried. Then I slipped my skinny, pale arms out of and untied my legs, got off the table, and ran like hell towards the door. Everything looked slow as I turned my head and saw Annie die with her purple glasses dangling from her ears. I ran up the many glass stairs until I bumped into a tall, skinny, dark-haired girl with blood-red lipstick. Oh, child, don't you know I'm on my way to collect the blood? My boyfriend's getting it for me for my lipstick. When it all came to me, my friends were dying for lipstick. I lost it.
That's actually how she talks.
I loved it. So, okay, so she's on the slab. She's tied down, and she sees her friends. What's going through her head?
Well, what's going through her head is, what the heck? Everything was good, and all of a sudden, my friends are dying in front of me. So that's kind of what she's thinking. And then after escaping and running into this girl saying how her friend, she's getting blood from her boyfriend for her lipstick.
Right, because the scientist said, we found the cure for the apocalypse,
He lied.
and we need blood from 5 pure hearts. And now we learn it's for lipstick?
He lied.
Yeah, he obviously did lie. And why did she leave Noah? Well, or why did she leave him, like, strapped? Like,
Well,
I thought she loved him. So
she
she's like,
did.
see ya.
That wasn't really her intention. Her intention was to get away, and she wanted to go find somebody to help her, because she couldn't really go against these 5 people with a big needle.
And they're all adults, right?
Yeah, they're all these tall adults, like super tall adults with big needles. So she ran out, and wait till you see what happens next.
Let's continue. All right, so Claire lost it. I put my fist to her face, and without thought, I punched her so hard, she waved her arms and fell back off the glass staircase. I kept running up and up until I reached the roof. I ran to the corner and looked down. I was about 150 feet above the ground. Bang! I turned and saw a very mad Dr. Gabriel. You killed her, he stuttered. Oh, yes, I did. And I turned around and jumped. Goodbye, world. So what's going on with that?
So I guess she just had no other choice. She was surrounded by all these tall guys with needles and this very mad Dr. Gabriel. He's like this.
And
"You
she
go
had no
kill her."
weapons.
She didn't.
The only reason why she got away from that witch that wanted the bloody lipstick was because she punched her and she lost her balance and fell off the staircase, right?
So she went, what?
Yeah, so no weapons. So that's why she jumped. Okay, so let's continue because I think you guys are going to really like the ending. I know I did. Clara! Something shook me. And then I opened my eyes and I saw Robbie. Oh my God, Robbie! I teared up and hugged him. "Oh, Clara, stop now. Come on, time for school." He pointed at the clock. I hopped out of bed and I put both hands on his shoulders and said, "Listen, Robbie, the zombies took over and school doesn't belong anymore." "Mommy, Sissy's watching too much Zombie Hunters," he whined, running towards the door. "No," I yelled. Then my mom and dad walked in. "You guys are alive?" "Oh dear," giggled my mom. "Someone has been watching too much TV and had a bad dream." A dream? I thought. I fell to my knees and laid on my back looking at the fan spin around and around and around and around. And after a while, it finally occurred to me that it might have been a dream. So I jumped up, happier than ever, ran past my mom holding my book bag, hugged my dad and mom, and put my little brother on my shoulders and ran off to school. So tell us about that. It was all a dream?
Mm-hmm.
You know, millions of dollars have been made from television shows that have used that same concept. How did you come up with it?
At the beginning, when I started writing this book, I kind of wanted it to end as it was all a dream because it was just too sad to have her whole family die, all of her friends die. It was just too sad to be true.
Right.
So
yeah.
At the end, when she jumped off, I said, okay, she's going to fall, hit the ground, and then wake up in her bed by her little brother.
But that's a good way to wake up. Tiffany, I love this story. This story is about romance. This story is, it makes you smile. It's kind of kooky. It has a dark humor to it. I mean, killing zombs, putting them in a porta potty hole, and then using that same porta potty hole to go potty. You know, I think that, it's got like a dark humor. I think it's very creative. It happens for Claire. So life's been good. Annie and I have sleepovers like every Friday. Taylor and I go to the mall every day after school for new skirts. And Noah and I have been secretly dating for like 5 months. And this Saturday, I plan to have him meet my parents. So I guess this is the end. The end. Wait, there's more. Also, I have a new favorite show obsession. Alien Hunter. Tuesdays nights at 7 p.m. Ha 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 ha. The end.
What happened when she went to school, her professor was Dr. Gabriel.
Oh, that makes sense.
And the new students were Annie, Noah, Nicholas, and Taylor. So she pretty much just got over the fact, and now she's living life as if that dream was just
Good job, Tiff. Well, I guess that's all for ZomTalk. We'll see you later. Bye. Okay, Daryl, we're going to set you right there. I opened my eyes and I was strapped to a table. I stuck.
I wasn't.
Grr, Jessie does.
Jesus.
Okay. My mom, Tabitha, was taking...
No, it says tucking. It just looks like an A.
He brought me to the ground. You know. Stop.
I wrote tucking.
A weird with wired glasses. Oh, Taylor mumbled. What? Ooh. Bellowing. My eyes out. Bellowing. Crack.
Like,
Tucking me and my little brother Robbie in bed. In his blue velvet robe. Slid down the door. Ice cold shot. Ice cold.
Sorry. I guess I'm a funny writer.
I slid down the door. Locked it and slid down the door.
An ice cold shock.
Shock. Like shock. But she said sock.
I'm sorry.
Buckwheat. Buckwheat. Really?
That's Claire's nickname. Oh yeah, you're not gonna laugh.
Okay,
I'm not gonna... Locked it and slid down the door in an ice. I shut the door, locked it. And I slid down it. I shut the door, locked it, and slid down the door in an ice cold shower. Noah gave us the grand tour of his family barn. Did I say it wrong?
Nicholas, a farmer who can fly.